What is Project Stuja? Ever wonder what Paimon is? Or the price for killing a god? No more running errands. We are in the endgame now. The nation built amidst the frost, raising the heat of defiance. The death amidst the life indulges in the torture, and our 7 nations-long journey standing at a conclusive point where it all starts making sense. Welcome to PST Storytelling, game story, movie style, for your busy days. Because we know how frustrating it is to miss out on incredible lore due to a packed schedule, we offer the ultimate solution for busy people who can't play many gacha games. Sit back and relax as we break down the most awaited nation Snezhnaya, an emotion-packed chapter turned into easy-to-understand cinematic journey, delivering all the heartbreaking tragedy, intense actions, and the jaw-dropping reveal of the Tsaritsa's plan, guaranteeing you get the massive story payoff you've been waiting for all these years. So sit tight, grab your snacks, and get ready. After a cheerful farewell to our friends in Nocturne, we finally set our sights on the ultimate destination of our journey, Snezhnaya. Bordering Nocturne, Snezhnaya is a land of relentless, biting cold, built upon the ruins of the ancient golden city of Hyperborea. As we cross the border into Snezhnaya, the weather rapidly deteriorates into a fierce, unnatural blizzard. The sudden drop in temperature leaves Paimon unusually weak and dizzy. While attempting to cross the bridge to escape the blinding storm, a sudden, violent gust of wind shatters the structure. The traveler is plunged into a maze of icy underground tunnels, getting separated from Paimon in the fall. Navigating the frozen cavern alone, the traveler stumbles upon an abandoned train carriage. Inside, they encounter the Eye of Grey, a mysterious ancient tech. It explains that its original purpose was to guide humanity to tomorrow and the empty Ark. Suffering from corrupted data and missing its physical body, the device detects the freezing traveler and offers a pact. In exchange for acting as its host, it will guide the traveler out of the tunnels and track Paimon's life signs. Accepting the bond, the device attaches itself to the traveler's face as a high-tech monocle. We learn that Kresnik's torch is a massive furnace created by the Belyazar to help humanity survive Snezhnaya's lethal climate. Every city in the nation is built around a torch, which generates a thermal shield against snowstorms. These torches burn Kresnik crystal, a highly effective thermal ore. Large veins of this mysterious crystal run through Snezhnaya's underground, serving as the absolute lifeline for its citizens, though its true geological origins remain a mystery. The monocle successfully leads the traveler out of the caves into an isolated cabin. Inside, they find Paimon neatly tucked into a warm bed. Watching over her is Pierro, the jester and director of the Fatui. Pierro briefly mentions that a powerful, ancient monster summoned the local snowstorm. After the traveler tends to Paimon, she reveals that Pierro rescued her from the blizzard and acts surprisingly non-hostile, though she remains puzzled as to why he knew her name. To get Paimon to a proper doctor, we arrive in the town. The traveler and Paimon discover the locals are suffering immensely due to Project Stuja. We have heard of the Tsaritsa's ultimate project throughout our journey, knowing only that it requires a huge amount of energy. Now, we see its toll on the people. Strict energy allocation policies have skyrocketed prices, severely restricting the Kresnik crystal heating quotas for common households. Fatui officers strictly enforce these reduced allotments, and the freezing townsfolk are growing agitated. A local hunter named Alosha offers the traveler and sick Paimon shelter in his warm home. He reveals the town's shrinking crystal quota is due to local corruption. Leaving Paimon to rest, the traveler and Alosha investigate. They successfully expose Liaison Shishkin and the town mayor, who had been hoarding Kresnik crystal from the citizens' quotas and smuggling it out for personal profit under the guise of Project Stuja. Returning home, Alosha explains Snezhnaya's complex political landscape. Pulcinella continuously extends Project Stuja to funnel massive amounts of energy to the capital. In response, a grassroots rebel faction called the Rokot operates in the shadows to protect the common folk. Alosha also drops a massive detail. The Tsaritsa is currently away from the capital with her personal guards, hunting the powerful monster responsible for the unnatural blizzards. Needing to reach Snezhnograd for a proper doctor, the Traveler, Paimon, and Alosha board a newly repaired train. But shortly after the departure, the train is violently pulled into the Shadow Realm, a dimension completely void of wind, light, elemental energy, and even time. Deprived of elemental powers and swarmed by mindless, shadow-devoured Fatui, the Traveler is forced to rely on the Eye of Grey. The monocle recites an activation code referencing the Golden City of Hyperborea, synthesizing specialized firearms. Fighting through waves of shadow monsters and navigating launch pads, the group escapes the sinking realm just in time. The monocle repairs the train, and they finally reach the capital. We arrived at the massive transport hub of Snezhnograd. This place is the political and military center of Snezhnaya. We check in at a restaurant so Paimon can rest. This room is far warmer than earlier, helping Paimon recover. Alosha returns with Dr. Luneva, who examines Paimon, diagnoses her with a simple cold that just requires rest, and leaves medicine. Relieved by the diagnosis, the Traveler agrees to let Paimon recover at the inn for a few days, while Alosha bids them farewell for the time being. To gather intel on Project Stuja, the Traveler heads to Glupov, the Fatui headquarters. Here, they are surprisingly joined by Snezhnaya. She explains the workings of the Snezhnograd Vecha, the main administrative council. Many counselors act as the representatives of various factions and debate about the issues. The chairperson is Pulcinella. The mayor of Snezhnograd and also the 5th Fatui Harbinger, highly valued by the Tsaritsa for his unmatched ability to mediate political crises. Snezhnaya also reveals the current Harbinger power dynamic. Before leaving for Natlin, Capitano transferred command of all his troops to Child. This was a strategic move to prevent Pulcinella and Pantalone from monopolizing military and financial power. Consequently, Child now holds a massive political seat in the Vecha as a representative of the Fatui Armory. Before Snezhnaya can explain further, an emergency is reported. A catastrophic machinery collapse in a nearby mining town. The Traveler and Snezhnaya rush to the scene. While Snezhnaya repairs the machinery from the outside, the Traveler dives into the crumbling mines to rescue the workers. Inside, the Traveler meets Odette. Snezhnograd's prima ballerina and a rising Fatui officer. We fight and scare away the monster affecting the area and rescue the workers, but suddenly, we notice something unusual.
What is that?
I don't know. It's back?
Guess it has family. This way. Run! Get out of here!
Escaping the mine, Snezhnaya formally introduces Odette, revealing she was personally trained by the late Rosalind. Snezhnaya admits that official relief for the miners will take months due to bureaucratic gridlock between Pulcinella and Pantalone. Seeing the common folk suffer for Project Stuja deeply conflicts the Traveler. Returning to the city, the Traveler confronts Child and Snezhnaya. Why do they allow Project Stuja to crush the citizens? Child defends the Fatui, explaining that the Tsaritsa's vision requires painful short-term sacrifices for a greater future. He reminds them that he comes from a small village himself and understands the stakes, noting that he and Snezhnaya actively push for relief funds. The relief program itself was started by Pulcinella, and the Tsaritsa herself is currently out to deal with the powerful monster causing the snowstorm. Odette, impressed by how the Traveler freely raises the true concerns, asks about the Traveler's identity. Child casually reveals that the Traveler is the one who defeated Rosalind in a lethal duel in Inazuma. The air turns freezing cold. Odette, Signora's loyal subordinate, politely but tensely excuses herself. Later, the Traveler tells Alosha that they want to investigate the underground rebel group, the Rokot. Alosha tells him to meet him at the Coralvki Troop Theater. At the theater, the Traveler watches a performance by the lead singer, Vodyanitsa. Backstage, Alosha introduces the Traveler to Vodyanitsa, revealing that both of them are members of the Rokot, the covert organization dedicated to helping common citizens. Their current target is the Iskra manufacturing plant, owned by a man named Chuganov, which is illegally drawing massive amounts of power. Since Chuganov refused to share details, they plan to relay information to Mitya, a famous energy expert and researcher who has clearance to inspect the plant and voice that holds trust. At a local restaurant to eavesdrop on Mitya, the Traveler and Alosha listen as Vodyanitsa casually converses with Mitya. Vodyanitsa guides the conversation toward the Iskra manufacturing plant, revealing its illegal energy overconsumption. Realizing the issue, Mitya talks about initiating an investigation into the factory. He shares that the Rooster has been very strict with the Department of Energy. As per him, every batch of crystals are carefully tacked and traced, and everyone at the department is overworked. Vodyanitsa hadn't realized the Rooster cared so much. Mitya revealed a huge detail about Project Stuja. The Armory Palace is attempting to develop a brand new energy source. Not the power from the light realm or elemental energy. The only energy that meets the criteria is the power within the stellar Lynchpins. The process requiring massive amounts of Kresnik crystal at each step, but that was all that he could share. Stellar Lynchpins are vision-like objects that grant users elemental control. Fatui researchers connect these Lynchpins to the remains of the deceased third descender, as wielding them channels a unique power originating from beyond Tevat. As we leave, the waiter informs the group that Mitya paid for all their meals, meaning he knew we were listening and intentionally leaked the information. Returning to the inn, the Traveler checks on Paimon. She reveals she isn't just sick from the cold, she's sensing something strange. Although Mitya mentioned the project only caused concentration and short-term memory issues among workers, both agree that discovering the true purpose of this research could be related to her sickness. Determined to stop the project, the Traveler and Vodyanitsa attend a session of the Snezhnograd Vecha. A fierce debate rages between Child, Pantalone, Snezhnaya, and Pulcinella over extending Project Stuja. The motion passes, but barely, mostly because of Chuganov, the corrupt factory owner, who unexpectedly voted against it. Vodyanitsa suspects Chuganov was blackmailed into flipping his vote by Lilik, an infamous, extremist Rokot member obsessed with destroying Project Stuja at any cost. Believing Lilik knows the ultimate truth behind the project, the Traveler decides to find him. Partnering, temporarily, with Child and Snezhnaya, the Traveler reviews Fatui files. Lilik is very good at infiltrating secure facilities, leaving threatening letters, and manipulating politicians without leaving a single physical trace. Initially, Fatui thought Lilik was a magical fae. However, Snezhnaya theorizes Lilik could be human. Specifically, she suspects Odette. Odette has the stealth of a ballerina, the training of the Fatui, and the perfect motive. Her father died in the early, unsafe stages of Project Stuja, ruining her family until Signora took her in. To investigate Odette, Child asks the Traveler to join Odette's upcoming classic ballet rehearsal. The Traveler heads to the Coralvki Theater to attend a rehearsal of the classic ballet Spirit Seeker. The goal is to learn about Odette's identity as Lilik, but the theater is packed with notable figures. Among the audience are Chuganov, the stressed researcher Mitya, Major Valeri, Fatui Major in charge of overseeing Mitya's energy project for the Armory Palace, and, most notably, Tonya, Child's younger sister who is suffering from a worsening cough. Just as the performance concludes, disaster strikes. An unnaturally severe snowstorm suddenly engulfs the outside area, completely trapping everyone inside the building. When a theater staff member vanishes while trying to fetch blankets, and Mayor Valeri's scheduled military backup fails to arrive, Alosha braves the blizzard to scout the perimeter. He quickly returns with grim news. This is no ordinary storm. It is a lethal anomaly. With no other choice, the Traveler, Vodyanitsa, and the rest of the attendees wait inside the theater and settle in. But a series of unnatural events starts happening. Each night, the Traveler would have a dream about escaping some black fog by climbing up the stairs of a tower with 2 random members of the group. Those who were consumed by the black fog in the dream, the next day would be found dead in the real world. Everyone was shocked and scared of the situation turning into a deadly stay. We all carry measures and investigations to solve the mystery. In the process, Odette makes a strategic move and publicly confesses that she is Lilik and has not killed anyone, so the investigation doesn't get misled. During one night, while guarding, Odette finally reveals a huge detail behind Project Stuja. The massive amounts of energy are being gathered to power an ultimate weapon designed for a final battle. Alosha and Mitya find an old report detailing how the ley lines near the theater are blocked, potentially altered anciently by an angel civilization which can trap harmless souls within the theater's walls. They also find a hidden, ominous note reading, "Death is near." One by one, pairs of people kept dying each night. We came to the conclusion that there are some dead souls present among us, and it turns out that a mercenary named Tram and the girl we thought was Child's sister were both lost souls who kept lingering in our world. As the lost souls were escaping ley lines, to make up for it, other living souls were being caught up and dying in the process. Learning these, the lost souls willingly walk out to the snowstorm, believing that the deaths of others will stop, but it doesn't. Odette reveals that she had actually discovered Mitya dead in his laboratory a week prior to this event. The pieces fall into place for Mitya. He connects this revelation to the unexplained episodes of temporary amnesia that he and his research team had been experiencing due to energy research. He thinks that those memory gaps might actually be considered as dead by the ley lines anomaly. Accepting his fate, Mitya treats this as a scientific experiment. To save the remaining survivors, he goes out into the lethal blizzard outside, sacrificing himself to break the theater's curse once and for all. Vodyanitsa sings her ceremonial song to make everyone feel better. But the ominous activities didn't stop, and the next day, she died. The survivors stay together, gathering all the left-out hope. The next night, something unexpected happens. Even after having died, Mitya returns back from the snowstorm. He shares that he was guided back by Vodyanitsa's ceremonial singing from earlier. Because the song exclusively guides souls of the deceased, Mitya confirms his own death and highlights that spirits within the theater are fully physical and indistinguishable from the living. He reveals that everyone trapped inside the theater was already dead from the start, and they are stuck in the afterlife. The mystery takes an even darker turn when Mitya displays his fingertips, stained with dried blood. Right before he lost consciousness in the blizzard, he managed to scrawl a symbol in the hand. The Traveler instantly recognizes the mark. It belongs to Renova, the ruler of death. The cryptic warning, "Death is near," was not a threat. It was a sign. The Grim Reaper itself had been walking among them in a familiar disguise. The Traveler immediately pieces it together and points the finger at Alosha. The Traveler exposes how Alosha subtly manipulated the group from the beginning, keeping them isolated and contained. The real Alosha was being replaced by the ruler of death at the start of the event while scouting the snowstorm. Shedding her disguise, Renova manifests in her form. She immediately claims the souls of Odette and Chuganov, coldly explaining that lingering souls risk escaping divine authority if not processed quickly. She admits to orchestrating this theater drama to have us guide the lost ancient spirits toward resolving their centuries of accumulated regrets, while also taking away the other souls. Renova avoided a massive spiritual fallout that her own authority couldn't easily diffuse. She dismisses human sacrifice and hope as laughable illusions against the absolute inevitability of death. Renova prepares to leave, but the traveler Nitya, deeply offended by a god looking down on humanity's sheer will, confront her.
Clear. But humans don't take well to being scorned. Not even by the gods.
This is futile. You must know that you are powerless against me in my own domain. I suggest that you save your strength.
For what? Maybe we can't change it. But if nothing else, we can at least teach you to have some respect for the dead.
Audacious.
Returning to the physical world, the traveler discovers that only a few minutes have actually passed. Those killed and processed by Renova in the Anomaly are resurrected in the real world, but their memories of the entire traumatic ordeal have been completely wiped. The traveler realizes they have been away from Paimon for too long. Rushing to check on her, the traveler and Odette learn that Pierro, the jester, personally arrived and escorted the sleeping Paimon to the highly restricted Armory Palace. The duo rushes to the underground facility by forcing in and fighting the guards along the way. However, soon, Renova's curse of death suddenly strikes the area. The traveler's consciousness fades, managing to move further. We find everyone in the facility, including Odette, Nitya, and the Fatui staff, temporarily dead, awaiting another memory-wiped resurrection process. As the traveler searches the premises for Paimon, Renova manifests a second time. She confronts the traveler for repeatedly involving themselves in Snezhnaya's mass death incidents, and sternly warns the Descender to stop interfering in divine affairs. She cautions that a failing civilization cannot rely on a Descender to evade its ultimate reckoning, declaring that mortals are simply unworthy to gaze upon her divine form, and about to return.
That thing is coming with me. You awoke sooner than I thought. The curse of immortality is stubborn, unable to enter the ley lines, yet not content to remain a spirit.
Ruler of death, what do you want?
You perplex me. Both you and you. That thing may be a creation of Celestia, but it possesses none of Celestia's power, let alone authority. Your obsession with it baffles me. No matter, the resurrection will soon begin. It's worthless anyway. I'll reclaim it next time.
Hey, who says there'll be a next time?
The Traveler reunites with a fully recovered Paimon and is overjoyed. Mitya and Pierro explain that Paimon's illness was caused by anti-Celestia energy from the experiment. Neutralizing the overwhelming effects of the facility cured it. Mitya reveals that Renova's curse of death is used as a divine suppression mechanism to stop civilizations from having any advanced breakthrough, preventing any means that can threaten the heavenly principles. Whenever Snezhnaya's researchers achieve a major technological breakthrough, Renova's curse triggers, mass killing the scientists and wiping their memories of the discovery. This is exactly what happened at the theater when Mitya made a breakthrough. These constant divine resets have wasted untold resources, and are the true reason Project Stuja has faced so many delays. Realizing this roadblock is not sustainable, Pierro officially suspends Project Stuja until the Ruler of Death is eliminated. Then, Pierro drops some huge details. Project Stuja was just a massive front. The energy gathered was for Project Mistiltian, an anti-celestial superweapon developed under the facade of Nocturne's Kavaki Bureau. Powered by energy extracted from the third Descender stellar Lynchpins, this weapon is designed to help the Tsaritsa overthrow the heavenly principles, liberating humanity from divine curses and cyclical annihilation. Pierro reveals the truth about our best travel companion. Paimon is a creation of Celestia, pulled from the sky 500 years ago. She resided in Pierro's palace as a newborn before losing her memories during the cataclysm. Pierro warns that Renova will actively seek to reclaim Paimon next time she strikes. To protect her and defy the heavens, the Traveler agrees to form an alliance with the Fatui to slay the Ruler of Death. Pierro displays the superweapon Mistiltian for the very first time. With Project Stuja suspended, the Kresnik Crystal energy crisis across Snezhnaya finally begins to recover. Enjoying her restored health, Paimon excitedly drags the Traveler out to explore Snezhnograd's bustling markets. As they browse the shops, a massive crowd gathers in the central city. the blizzards have finally calmed, and the people erupt into cheers to witness the Tsaritsa's triumphant return after successfully defeating the snowstorm-causing monster. With a history of defiance, refusing to be shackled by the rules, a nation with the ambition to overthrow the divine, and the vow to carve the new world order. Everything we learned about Snezhnaya is a super high stake, but we can only say one thing. This is only the beginning. The best is yet to come. And that's the full story of Genshin Impact Snezhnaya 7.0. If you like this video and want to support my channel, that means a lot. I made this channel for fans who love game stories but don't have time to play. On PST, you can enjoy them like a movie. If that's you, let me know in the comments. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.